Welcome to part 81 of the Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Quick reminder to click like and subscribe, and the notification bell. Heidi Plank, a 39-year-old mother, mysteriously vanished in Los Angeles on October 17, 2021. Plank was last seen leaving her son's football game in Downey, California. Her ex-husband, Jim Wayne, became concerned when she failed to pick up their son 3 days later, as had been scheduled, leading him to report her missing on October 20th, 2021. The case took a strange turn when Plank's dog was found wandering on the 28th floor of a high-rise apartment complex in downtown Los Angeles, just hours after she left the football game. Surveillance footage captured her entering the building, but she was never seen leaving. Plank had no known connection to the building, further deepening the mystery. Authorities searched the building but found no immediate signs of her whereabouts. However, forensic evidence discovered inside the building later led police to suspect that she may have died there. One theory circulating is that Plank attended a drug-fueled party in the building on the night she disappeared. Witnesses suggested that she may have suffered a fatal overdose during the event, and there is speculation that partygoers may have disposed of her body through the building's trash chute. This theory gained traction when authorities conducted an extensive search at the Chiquita Canyon landfill, where garbage from the building was dumped. However, no human remains were ever recovered, and this theory remains speculative. Another aspect complicating the case is Plank's professional life. She worked as a controller for Camden Capital Partners, a firm under investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission, more commonly known as the SEC, for financial fraud. Her boss, Jason Sugarman, was implicated in a $43 million fraud scheme, and some, including Jim Wayne, believe that her disappearance may be tied to her knowledge of illegal activities at the company. Just days after Plank was last seen, Wayne received a phone call asking him about Sugarman, heightening suspicion that her professional connections might have played a role in her vanishing. Notably, Heidi's advised some of her friends that her name was on a lot of papers, and she implied that she may be having some sort of tax problems in the future. That said, any connection between her disappearance and Camden Capital Partners is merely speculative at this point. Although police have continued to pursue leads, including reviewing surveillance footage and conducting searches, the case remains unsolved. Plank's remains have never been found, and her family continues to seek closure nearly 3 years after her disappearance. The Celebrity Number 6 mystery was one of the internet's most fascinating cases of lost media that finally reached resolution in the last couple of days. Since I assume most of you don't know that this mystery has been solved yet, I'm still going to cover it here. This mystery began in 2020 when an image of a fabric containing a collage of celebrities, each based on real-life source photographs, surfaced online. While most of the celebrities depicted, including Adriana Lima, Josh Holloway, and Jessica Alba, were quickly identified, the identity of one person, nicknamed Celebrity Number 6, remained elusive for years. The fabric, produced around 2008, featured these stylized portraits in a pop art style, but the origins of Celebrity Number 6 puzzled internet sleuths. Over the years, dedicated Reddit communities, such as the r/Celebrity Number 6 subreddit, were formed to pool collective knowledge, clues, and research in an effort to identify her. Speculation ran wild, with virtually every theory believing the mystery woman might be a prominent actress or model from the 2000s in keeping with the others on the fabric. Some theories even proposed that Celebrity Number 6 could in fact be male. Several fairly well-known figures were considered, such as the model Olga Sarova and actor Taylor Kitsch. Despite this, no one was able to find a direct match for years. In 2024, the mystery reached its climax when a user named Indigo Room made a breakthrough. Indigo Room was able to confirm that the image of celebrity number 6 could be traced back to Leticia Sarda, a Spanish model. This user found another photograph of Leticia Sarda which appeared like it could be from the same photo shoot, and reached out to the photographer. The discovery was confirmed when a photographer acknowledged that he had taken the original photograph for a 2003 issue of a Spanish magazine called Woman Number 162. This discovery ended a years-long search, satisfying thousands of internet detectives who had pored over every potential lead. Leticia Sarda herself has since come out and acknowledged that celebrity number 6 was her. Notably, in true Reddit-style Indigo Room was driven from the subreddit by a Reddit moderator who accused Indigo Room of generating the image using AI and forging the emails from the photographer. When it comes to Reddit moderators, I guess you could say you get what you pay for. I say that Reddit should double or even triple their base pay. Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur, is one of the most iconic symbols in Arthurian legend, representing kingship, divine right, and heroism. Its name, believed to be derived from either Latin or Welsh, has come to signify more than just a powerful weapon wielded by King Arthur, and is now known worldwide. The story of Excalibur is most famously linked to two key Arthurian legends: the Sword in the Stone and the Lady of the Lake. The former, popularized in the 12th century poem by Robert de Boron, describes how Arthur, a seemingly unknown boy, pulls the sword from a stone, proving his divine right to rule Britain. According to this legend, only the true heir to the throne could achieve this feat, and Arthur's success marked him as the rightful king. However, in other arguably more popular traditions, Excalibur is not the sword drawn from the stone. This version states that the sword in the stone, which Arthur initially uses, shatters in battle, prompting the wizard Merlin to lead Arthur to the Lady of the Lake. She presents him with Excalibur, a magical sword with supernatural powers. Excalibur is often depicted as having extraordinary qualities, with some traditions emphasizing that its blade could blind enemies with its brilliance, or that it granted invincibility to its wielder. Its scabbard, rather than the sword itself, was considered even more powerful in some accounts. According to some legends, Arthur was told that as long as he had the scabbard, he could not be mortally wounded. Another significant aspect of Excalibur is its connection to water, a recurring theme in Celtic mythology, where lakes and rivers often serve as entrances to the other world. The sword's delivery by the Lady of the Lake and its return to the waters upon Arthur's death reinforces the idea that Arthur's reign was divinely sanctioned. As he lay dying after the Battle of Camlan, his famous final battle, Arthur instructed one of his most trusted knights to return Excalibur to the lake. According to legend, this knight, who differs depending on the telling, was tempted to keep Excalibur for himself, but eventually threw it back into the water. While Excalibur is widely regarded as a product of medieval romance, it may draw from earlier myths. Some scholars believe it shares characteristics with swords in Celtic mythology, such as the Irish sword Caladbolg. These swords often carried similar magical traits, such as unbreakable blades and the ability to vanquish enemies effortlessly. The search for the historical Excalibur often revolved around finding a real-life basis for the legendary sword of King Arthur to increase a British ruler's legitimacy. Notably, in 1191, the historical Excalibur was supposedly discovered at Glastonbury Abbey. However, rather than keeping this sword in Britain, Richard the Lionheart gave it as a gift to King Tancred of Sicily, a Norman ruler of Sicily, and distant relation of Richard. Unfortunately, King Tancred died very soon after in 1194, and the fate of this version of Excalibur remains entirely unknown, having been lost for over 800 years. Personally, I think if I was given Excalibur by Richard the Lionheart, I would have made more efforts to ensure that it was kept in a safe place. Count Saint-Germain, a mysterious European figure from the 18th century, has been the subject of intrigue for centuries due to his wide-ranging talents and elusive origins. Born either in 1691 or 1712, the Count remains an enigma. His true identity has never been definitively established. Some theories suggest he might have been the illegitimate son of Prince Francis Rákóczi of Transylvania, while others propose more unusual origins, linking him to ancient and mystical traditions. Saint-Germain's talents and knowledge spanned across multiple disciplines. He was well versed in languages, reportedly fluent in French, Italian, and German, and able to communicate in several others, such as English and Spanish. His proficiency in the arts was also remarkable. The Count was an accomplished violinist and composer, contributing to musical performances across Europe. His performances, combined with his flair for eccentricity, captivated European high society. Courtiers often described him as both entertaining and peculiar, noting his insightful conversations on philosophy and science. Beyond his musical abilities, Saint-Germain was also known for his expertise in alchemy, a pursuit that played into his larger-than-life reputation. He allegedly claimed to have discovered the secret to immortality, which led to further mythologizing of his character. These claims were reinforced by his seeming agelessness. Throughout his life, witnesses remarked that the Count appeared strikingly youthful, even as the years passed. His association with alchemy and the occult grew over time, with some later occultists identifying him as a spiritual master, or even in immortal mystical figures like Christian Rosenkreutz. One of the most notable periods in Saint-Germain's life was his time in the French court of King Louis XV. By 1748, he had earned the favor of the king, who employed him on secret diplomatic missions. Saint-Germain's apparent ability to navigate the complex world of international politics, combined with his scientific and alchemical pursuits, earned him a reputation as a man of mystery. Despite his secretive nature, he managed to gain the trust of influential figures, yet he always maintained an air of enigma, refusing to reveal his origins or even his real name. The Count's association with major European figures of his time only added to his mystique. He is mentioned in the memoirs of the infamous quote-unquote adventurer Giacomo Casanova, who described him as a captivating conversationalist, full of stories that seemed designed to astonish. Saint-Germain's connections were not limited to political and social elites. He was also linked to esoteric circles, particularly the burgeoning movements of mysticism and occultism. In later years, some occultists, such as those affiliated with the Theosophical Society, claimed that Saint-Germain was an ascended master. They stated that he was a being who had transcended human limitations and now worked for the spiritual advancement of humanity. This belief persisted well into the 20th century, where groups like the Saint-Germain Foundation continued to revere him. The foundation, founded in the 1930s, promoted the idea of Saint-Germain as a spiritual guide who had mastered the secrets of the universe. Saint-Germain's death in Germany in 1784 did little to quell the legends surrounding him. Some believe he faked his death and continued to live in secrecy, while others claim he truly discovered the key to eternal life and remains alive to this day. These myths have been perpetuated in various forms, from occult teachings to New Age spiritual movements, where he is often revered as a symbol of eternal wisdom and mystery. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy here, taking a second to gently remind you to like and subscribe, and to hit the notification bell. Also, remember if you want to take it to the next level, you can do so with the Patreon or with a YouTube membership. Benefits include occasional early access to new content, access to some of my earlier videos, which are no longer available otherwise, and shoutouts. The Tatzelwurm is a cryptid rooted in the folklore of the Alps, particularly in the regions of Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. Described as a reptilian beast with feline characteristics, this cryptid has sparked fascination and fear for centuries. While its origins are obscure, stories of the Tatzelwurm have persisted from the 18th century onwards, frequently portraying it as a dangerous, snake-like creature that resides in the Alps. The creature is typically depicted as having a serpentine body, ranging from 5 to 7 feet in length, with a cat-like head and short forelimbs. Accounts vary, but many describe it as venomous, sometimes capable of emitting poisonous fumes. The Tatzelwurm's ferocity is emphasized in tales where it attacks livestock or even humans. One of the earliest known encounters is that of a farmer named Hans Fuchs, who in 1779 reportedly saw 2 of these creatures in the mountains. According to legend, Fuchs was so terrified by the sight of the Tatzelwurm that he suffered a heart attack shortly after returning home, but not before recounting the encounter to his family. He described the beast as having sharp teeth, a serpent-like body, and clawed limbs as well as the signature cat head. Sightings of the Tatzelwurm continued into the 19th and early 20th centuries. In 1828, a farmer allegedly discovered a half-eaten corpse of the creature, which had supposedly been scavenged by crows. While no physical evidence of the Tatzelwurm has been conclusively verified, sporadic reports of sightings have kept the legend alive. In 1934, the legend gained further attention when a photograph purported to show a Tatzelwurm. This image, captured by a man named Balkan, showed a stubby, snake-like creature among rocks, and was widely discussed but ultimately discredited. In my view, this creature has little in common with the usual descriptions of the Tatzelwurm, as it lacks the cat-like head that defines the creature. Cryptozoologists have speculated on the possible existence of the Tatzelwurm, proposing that it could be an undiscovered species. Common suggestions include a giant salamander or another amphibian-type creature adapted to the cold alpine environment. Some have suggested that the creature might hibernate during the winter and emerge in warmer months, which would explain the sporadic nature of sightings. In modern times, the Tatzelwurm has become a symbol of regional identity, representing the nature of the Alps. Originating in the mid-15th century as playing cards in Europe, tarot cards evolved over time into a tool for spiritual guidance and fortune-telling, particularly from the late 18th century onwards. Today, they are widely associated with mystical and occult practices, serving as a bridge between the material and spiritual worlds. A typical tarot deck consists of 78 cards, which are divided into 2 main groups, the major arcana and the minor arcana. The major arcana consists of 22 cards, each depicting significant life events, spiritual lessons, and archetypal energies. These cards are believed to hold the most profound and influential messages in a reading, often symbolizing major life transitions or spiritual insights. Some of the most well-known cards in this group include the Fool, the Magician, and the World, each carrying unique symbolism and meaning. The minor arcana, on the other hand, comprises 56 cards that are divided into 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. Each suit is associated with a different element and represents various aspects of daily life. The minor arcana cards are often seen as reflecting more mundane, yet still significant matters such as relationships, finances, and personal challenges. The belief in the powers of tarot cards is deeply rooted in their use for divination. Practitioners of tarot, known as tarot readers, use the cards to gain insight into the past, present, and potential future of an individual. The cards are shuffled and drawn in a specific spread, with each position in the spread representing different aspects of the individual's life. The reader then interprets the cards based on their positions, the images depicted, and the traditional meanings associated with each card. One of the most critical aspects of tarot reading is the role of intuition. While the cards have traditional meanings, the interpretation is highly subjective and relies heavily on the reader's intuitive abilities. A skilled tarot reader combines their understanding of the card's symbolism with their intuitive insights to provide guidance that is tailored to the individual's unique situation. The power of tarot cards, therefore, lies not just in the cards themselves, but in the connection between the reader and the person receiving the reading. The act of shuffling the deck and drawing the cards is seen as a way of aligning with the energies of the universe, allowing the reader to tap into a deeper level of consciousness. This process is believed to reveal truths that might not be apparent through ordinary means of understanding. Evidence for this includes the fact that statistically, no one will ever see the same tarot drawing twice, and thus every reading is entirely unique. Tarot cards are often viewed as tools for tapping into the subconscious mind and the collective unconscious, a concept popularized by Carl Jung. Jungian psychology suggests that the symbols and archetypes found in the tarot resonate with the universal human experience, making them powerful tools for self-reflection and personal growth. For example, the Fool card, which represents new beginnings and potential, can be interpreted as an encouragement to embrace new opportunities without fear. Further, this card is generally regarded as a card of infinite potential. In addition to their psychological significance, tarot cards are also associated with esoteric traditions and occult practices. Some believe that the cards are connected to ancient wisdom from civilizations such as Egypt, or with Christian or Kabbalistic mystical traditions. Tarot cards are also used in rituals and magical practices, where they are believed to enhance the practitioner's connection to the spiritual realm. The symbolism within the cards is thought to carry specific energies that can be harnessed for various purposes, such as manifesting desires or protecting against negative influences. In the summer of 2007, the city of Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, experienced a string of brutal incidents that shocked the local community and the world at large. Over the span of several weeks, 21 residents of the city fell victim to violent acts committed by a group of individuals who would later be known as the Maniacs. This group comprised 3 young men, Viktor Sayenko, Igor Suprunyuk, and Alexander Hanja. Their crimes seemed to lack any clear motive and targeted a broad spectrum of the community, including children, the elderly, and homeless individuals. The attackers appeared to choose their victims randomly, and the methods used were particularly savage, predominantly involving blunt objects like hammers and steel construction bars. The severity of the attacks left the victims unrecognizable, and in some instances, there were signs of extreme desecration. On the night of June 25, 2007, a chilling series of events unfolded. Yekaterina Ilchenko, a 33-year-old woman, was attacked while returning from a friend's place and struck unexpectedly by Suprunyuk with a hammer. She was discovered by her mother early the next morning, and unfortunately this was just the start of the horror. Within an hour, Roman Tatarevich was found brutally slain. He had been sleeping on a bench which was located shockingly right across from the local prosecutor's office. The violence escalated on July 1st, with Yevgenia Grishenko and Nikolai Serchuk found in Novomoskovsk, and continued on July 6th in Dnipro. That night, Igor Nechvoloda, a young ex-soldier, was savagely attacked on his way home. Nearby, Yelena Schramm, a night guard, was ambushed by Suprunyuk, who concealed a hammer beneath his shirt, striking her down before disposing of evidence with her own clothes. Later, Valentina Hanja, a mother of 3, became another victim of this senseless violence. These acts left a community in terror, marking a dark series of events driven by inexplicable cruelty. The initial break in the case came with the attack on the 2 boys from Pidorodna on July 7, 2021. One of the boys, Vadim Liakov, survived and escaped, later helping police to create sketches of the attackers. His testimony, combined with descriptions from other witnesses, aided law enforcement in connecting the dots between the separate incidents, which eventually led to the arrest of the maniacs. However, sadly, they were not brought to justice until July 23, 2007, 2.5 weeks after the big break in the case. In the meantime, the maniacs claimed the lives of 13 more innocent people. The investigative effort was substantial, with more than 2,000 law enforcement officers involved from all over the country. However, the final breakthrough came when one of the suspects attempted to sell a mobile phone belonging to one of the victims. The personal backgrounds of the 3 young men were explored during the investigation and subsequent trial. They had known each other since school and shared some common fears and interests that, disturbingly, evolved into torturing animals and eventually escalated to their violent spree. The evidence presented at trial included photographs and videos that portrayed their inhuman acts, further substantiating their guilt. Ultimately, the legal proceedings culminated on February 11, 2009, with Suprinyuk and Sayenko receiving life sentences for their crimes. Hanja, who was found not to have participated directly in the violent acts, was sentenced to 9 years for robberies that occurred prior to the crime. Unfortunately for the families of the victims, the videos of the crime scenes which came out at trial were leaked onto the internet and quickly went, quote, viral on shock websites. As for why they did it, well, the answer seems to be that they had a simple fascination with cruelty and senseless violence. Some individuals, like the maniacs, embody the purest form of evil and malevolence. Their actions, devoid of empathy and reason, challenge our understanding of human nature. The legend of the Griggstown cow is an obscure piece of New Jersey folklore, centering on a mysterious bovine. This creature was said to haunt the floodplains of the Millstone River and the Griggstown Lock along the Delaware and Raritan Canal. For 3 decades, the so-called ghost cow was reported by numerous residents and visitors who claimed to have seen the animal, often in foggy conditions. These sightings were typically fleeting, and no solid evidence such as tracks or droppings was ever found, further adding to the mystery surrounding the creature. Some blurry photographs were allegedly taken of the creature, but I've been unable to find these photographs online. As no dairy farms remained in the area since the 1970s, the presence of a lone, ownerless cow seemed improbable, leading many to dismiss the sightings as mere urban legend. The story took a surprising turn on November 23, 2002, when an employee from the New Jersey Water Authority reported seeing the cow stuck in a ravine near the canal. When rescuers arrived, they discovered an elderly, blind black and white bull matching the description of the ghost cow. This discovery shocked those who had long doubted the cow's existence. It was concluded that this animal had been living undetected in the floodplain for decades, surviving by foraging and avoiding human contact since the decline of the dairy farms in the area. Unfortunately, the bull was in poor health and severely weakened from age and its ordeal. Efforts were made to rescue the animal, but due to its frail condition, a local veterinarian decided that the most humane course of action was to euthanize it. Sightings of the ghost cow ceased after the finding of the Griggstown cow, providing very strong circumstantial evidence that witnesses had been seeing this bull for decades. The Grigstown cow is of interest to cryptozoologists because it highlights how a large animal can remain undetected for decades. Some cite this as support for the possibility that other large elusive creatures may also exist hidden in plain sight. Despite being in a relatively populated and accessible area, the bull lived undisturbed in the Grigstown floodplains for nearly 30 years, evading human detection until its discovery in 2002. The God-worshipping society, founded by Hong Xiuquan in the mid-19th century, was a religious movement in China that combined elements of Christianity with Chinese folk traditions. It played a pivotal role in the development of the Taiping Rebellion, one of the largest and deadliest civil conflicts in world history. The society's teachings and practices not only aimed at religious reform, but also carried a strong political message against the ruling Qing dynasty. The group's eventual transition from a religious sect to a full-fledged rebellion was motivated by a unique blend of spiritual beliefs, social grievances, and millenarian aspirations. The God-worshipping society began with Hong Xiuquan's spiritual visions. After failing multiple attempts at the imperial examinations to become a bureaucrat, Hong experienced a series of mystical visions in which he believed he was appointed as a younger brother of Jesus Christ. Notably, and keep this in mind for later, these examinations had a sub 1% pass rate, and passing the examination was the equivalent of having quote-unquote made it in society. Also, it's important to keep in mind that this was a less than 1% pass rate of people who had devoted their entire lives to studying for this exam. For all but the wealthiest families, this required the extended family and beyond to place resources into a talented young person to begin studies at an early age. But I digress. Hong's interpretation of Christianity was influenced by Protestant missionaries in China, but took a syncretic turn. He blended his understanding of Christian monotheism with Chinese religious elements, particularly a focus on Shangdi, the traditional high god of Chinese culture. These teachings were deeply intertwined with a message of justice, positioning Hong as a divine leader who could guide his followers toward a utopian society. Hong developed the society as a platform to oppose the social injustices suffered by the poor. Initially, their message spread among marginalized groups, such as the Hakka Chinese people, who faced discrimination in Qing society. The society attracted thousands of converts, including miners, laborers, and small farmers. It grew in popularity largely due to the promise of a better life, free from oppression by local elites and the Qing government. The God-worshipping society fostered a sense of community through its stringent religious and social structure. Members were required to abandon traditional Confucian and Buddhist practices in favor of the society's Christian-inspired beliefs. The group also emphasized collective responsibility, establishing communal living arrangements and a common treasury where wealth was shared among all members. The society's ideology demanded strict moral behavior, including chastity and sobriety, creating a form of religious discipline intended to purify the believers and prepare them for the coming era of divine rule. A distinctive aspect of the God-worshipping society's theology was its millenarian vision. Hong preached that the world was corrupt, ruled by demons, i.e., the Qing dynasty, and that God had chosen him to lead his followers in the creation of a new, divinely sanctioned kingdom. His concept of the heavenly kingdom of great peace was a utopian vision that would eventually come to define the movement. This kingdom was intended to be a theocratic state that would replace the Qing dynasty, governed by principles of equality and justice. As the God-worshipping society expanded, it began to take on a more militant character. By 1847, Hong Xiuquan had amassed a large following, which were then armed and trained to resist local authorities. Conflicts between the society's members and Qing officials escalated, leading to the Jintian Uprising in 1851. This marked the beginning of the Taiping Rebellion, as the society formally declared war against the Qing government, calling for the establishment of the Heavenly Kingdom. Hong's declaration of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom in 1851 was not just a religious proclamation, but also a political move. It positioned the society as a direct challenge to the Qing authority, framing the struggle as one between the forces of good, the God worshippers, and evil, the Qing. The rebellion gained momentum, and by 1853, the Taiping forces captured Nanjing, China's southern capital, which they declared as the capital of their divine kingdom. Under the rule of the God-worshipping society, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom adopted radical policies that sought to restructure Chinese society. The leadership promoted gender equality, abolished foot binding, and redistributed land among peasants. The state also strictly regulated behavior according to religious laws, banning practices such as gambling. These reforms were accompanied by strict authoritarian control, which did not ingratiate the new subjects of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom to their new monarch. Despite early successes, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom struggled to maintain cohesion. Internal power struggles emerged between different factions within the leadership. Further, multiple leaders other than Hong began to claim to communicate directly with God, undermining Hong's authority. These divisions, coupled with external conflicts with the Qing military, weakened the Taiping forces. After more than a decade of intense fighting, the rebellion was finally crushed by Qing forces, aided financially and militarily by Western powers in 1864. The question of whether Hong Xiuquan truly believed in his divine visions, or whether he was motivated by a hunger for power, has been subject to significant debate. Hong's spiritual experiences, especially his claim of being the younger brother of Jesus Christ, appear sincere at the outset, with some claiming that this was likely the result of mental break. According to this theory, Hong, after failing the bureaucratic examinations, collapsed mentally upon the realization that he had let down his entire family and extended family who were relying upon his success. However, it's speculated that he recovered from this experience and continued to play the role of the divine king of the Taiping Kingdom as a way of increasing his power. Naomi Bolivar, a 21-year-old recent graduate of Brigham Young University, had just returned to Florida to be with her family. She vanished on February 11, 2021, during what was supposed to be a routine walk at the Ann Kolb Nature Center in Hollywood, Florida. Naomi, who was on the autism spectrum, had returned to Florida after completing her degree in plant and wildlife ecology, intending to start her professional career. On the day of her disappearance, Naomi left her parents' home around 4 p.m. Surveillance footage captured her boarding a bus, and she eventually arrived at the nature center. She sent a Snapchat selfie to a friend from the park's observation tower around 6 p.m., but shortly after that, communication ceased. Her phone stopped responding, and her family became alarmed when she did not show up for a scheduled Zoom Bible study later that evening. An immediate search effort was launched after Bolivar's parents reported her missing. Authorities traced her phone's location to a spot on South Ocean Drive, about 3 miles from the Nature Center, where it pinged near Hollywood Beach at around 10 p.m. that night. Despite this lead, no other evidence of her whereabouts has been found. There has been no activity on her phone, bank accounts, or social media since her disappearance, and she left home without her ID or money. The circumstances surrounding Naomi's case are particularly troubling. While authorities initially speculated that she may have left voluntarily, her friends and family firmly rejected this notion. Bolivar was described as responsible, close to her family, and unlikely to simply walk away without any communication. Those who knew her well emphasized that she wouldn't engage in reckless behavior or put herself in danger unnecessarily. Further adding to the peril is the fact that Naomi was noted to have limited social ability due to her autism. Some have speculated that her good nature, combined with her autism, may have meant that she was unable to tell if someone had malicious intent until it was too late. As the investigation dragged on without any significant leads, private investigators were brought in to assist. At one point in March 2021, it was reported that Naomi's phone briefly reconnected to the network and sent apparent text messages to 3 of her friends before it was turned off again. Due to the ongoing investigation, it doesn't appear that the nature of these messages has been disclosed by authorities at this time. However, this development failed to provide any tangible clues regarding her whereabouts. Despite extensive search efforts, which included canvassing the local area with flyers, utilizing search dogs, and combing through the Ann Kolb Nature Center, no trace of Bolivar has been found. The authorities and private investigators have expressed frustration over the lack of evidence pointing toward foul play, though the possibility of an abduction has not been ruled out entirely. Anyone with information about Naomi's disappearance is urged to contact the Hollywood, Florida Police Department. The concept of the third eye is a widely recognized symbol across various spiritual traditions, representing an inner vision, heightened awareness, and a gateway to higher consciousness. This esoteric concept is most commonly associated with the chakras in Hinduism and the pineal gland in modern interpretations. The third eye is traditionally seen as a mystical and esoteric concept in various spiritual traditions, particularly in Hinduism and Buddhism. In Hinduism, the third eye is associated with the Ajna chakra, located between the eyebrows, which is considered the center of intuition, intellect, and spiritual insight. This chakra is believed to connect individuals to their inner selves in the universe, enabling them to perceive realities beyond the physical world. It is often symbolized by a bindi, a mark on the forehead representing the divine vision of inner reality. Buddhism similarly associates the third eye with mindfulness and awakening, a state where one transcends ordinary perception to achieve spiritual enlightenment. The third eye is seen as the path to realizing the true nature of existence, free from the illusions of the material world. In other cultures, the third eye has also been recognized in different forms. For instance, in Egyptian mythology, it is often compared to the Eye of Horus, a symbol of protection, royal authority, and good health. In Celtic traditions, there's evidence Druids believed in a metaphorical eye that granted insight into the unseen and the true reality of the world. In more contemporary interpretations, particularly in the West, the third eye is often linked to the pineal gland, a small endocrine gland in the brain. The pineal gland has been a subject of fascination due to its connection with light, sleep regulation, and the production of melatonin. Some holistic practitioners and spiritual teachers believe that the pineal gland, when activated, can lead to the awakening of the third eye, thereby enhancing intuition and spiritual insight. The association between the third eye and the pineal gland gained popularity in the 20th century, especially through the works of New Age thinkers and theosophists. This belief has led to various practices aimed at opening the third eye, such as meditation, visualization, and certain yoga practices that are designed to stimulate this gland. In many spiritual traditions, opening the third eye is seen as a crucial step towards achieving enlightenment. It involves transcending the limitations of the ego and the material world to gain a deeper understanding of the self and the universe. If you like this video, please do me a huge favor and click the share button and send it to anyone who you think may enjoy it. Remember to like and subscribe and check out the Patreon or YouTube membership to support the channel further. I've included the links to everything in the description of this video. Shout out to my patrons Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Courtney Hammett, Out of Gray's Mind, Zach Steele, Franz Tech, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, Spookiest Becky, Vespertine, Metanova, Will Roan, Crab Nebula, and Blasphemous.